Welcome to the Dan Casper Show podcast, your chance to catch the full show anytime, anywhere. If you missed it live on the radio, no worries. We've got you covered with all the sports talk, opinions, interviews, and conversations from the show. From the Packers to the Brewers to the biggest stories in sports and around Wisconsin, it's all right here. This is the Dan Casper Show podcast. All right, here we go. Second hour, kick it off on this Tuesday morning. It is a Grind My Gears Tuesday. Thanks for making us a part of your starts. If you're up and at it already here, obviously, if you're like, hey, just waking up, what did I miss? You've missed a lot so far. You can continue to send us your thoughts and your reaction on Giannis being traded to the Miami Heat. It is the NBA draft tonight, so as of right now, the Bucks will hold the 10th and 13th overall pick as part of the trade. The 13th overall pick coming to Milwaukee, so maybe they'll get more if they do decide to flip Tyler Hero, but right now we don't know. So. But continue to send us your thoughts. We've got Brian from the Card Collecting Club saying the Bucks are still reeling from the Damian Lillard trade where we got fleeced. Love Giannis, but the pieces to build a championship team were gone. It was better to get something for him while we still could. He hasn't been healthy lately, and a rebuild was needed. Maybe Miles Turner's pops up in another trade to build up draft capital. That's the other one too. Like they got to Miles Turner, Kyle Kuzma. Got to figure out how to move on from those guys and maybe get something in return. Feel like, but. Continue to send us your thoughts on that. Also, it is a Grind My Gears Tuesday brought to you by Toys and Ford, but don't forget it is also I'm not saying, but I'm just saying. So fill in the blanks, best ones we'll read up on the air. I'm not saying blank, but I'm just saying blank. Okay? So best ones, creative ones, fun ones we'll read up on the air. Let's switch gears here for a little bit here. Because we did have a Brewers game last night. Brewers picking up a 2-1 victory against the Cincinnati Reds. It was scoreless heading into the 10th inning. So Brewers able to manufacture a couple of runs. But the big story outside of the win has to be what we saw from Brandon Woodruff yesterday. What a gem of a performance from Brandon Woodruff last night. Exceeded all of my expectations. He goes out there, he throws 6 innings, 1 hit, no earned runs, strikes out 10, no walks. And his fastball, the miles per hour, were ticking up just a little bit the deeper he got into the game. Slowest was, I think, was the graphic, like 89 miles per hour in the first inning, but 5th inning, it was like 92, 93. He looked good. He looked really good. I'm trying to temper my expectations and such, but man, if this is the version we're going to get from Brandon Woodruff, and you pair that up with what we've seen from Mizorowski and what we have seen from Kyle Harrison so far, I'll take that top 3 into the postseason any day. Any day of the week. Twice on Sunday. That was a brilliant performance from Brandon Woodruff, considering his last start was back in April. Definitely exceeded all of my expectations. So hopefully this is something that he can continue to build on. And he's not going to have not every single game from Brandon Woodruff is going to be 6 scoreless innings and 10 Ks and no walks and 1 hit. It's not going to happen. But man, he looked good. He looked really good. Please, baseball gods out there, do the Brewers a solid and keep Woodruff and Miz and Harrison healthy heading into the postseason and playing well in the postseason, because that is a trio that can take it deep into the postseason and get you to a World Series. I firmly believe that. Also, too, I want to get your thoughts. So there wasn't a lot of offense last night. So there's really not anything to talk about from an offensive standpoint. Other than Bryce Terang did get a couple of hits. And, I mean, Brewers team-wise had 3 and Terang had 2 of them. What did you think of, at the end of the game there? Because Joey Ortiz got to start at shorts. Hamilton got to start at third. But you had a Cooper Pratt, Joey Ortiz, Bryce Terang, infield. Man, I kind of want to see that more from a defensive standpoint. Credit to where credit's due. Joey Ortiz moving over to third base late in that game last night too, made a couple nice plays. And shout out to Jake Bowers on that final out too, that stretch to secure that catch, get that toe on the bag to secure the final out. So, and then Joey Ortiz, obviously, too, with the sac fly deep to right to get the first run, and then the wild pitch to score the next one. But you got to give him credit to where credit's due. Joey Ortiz, defensively, and made the sac fly into right. But that's if that's, I don't want to say an everyday type of lineup, but man, Joey and Cooper. And then Terang, that's a heck of a defensive infield. So, game 2 coming up tonight now. And we got Brandon Sproat going to go for the Brew Crew. Brandon Sproat, 1-4 with a 5.94 ERA. On the flip side, we got another left-handed pitcher. For the Reds. Nick's going over there 2-2 with a 6.12 ERA. He's coming off of a loss where he gave up 7 earned runs against the Mets back on the 17th. When you look at some of the lineups here, Yelich, he has struggled, though, 12 career at-bats, .083. Vaughn, 10 career at-bats, 200. Ortiz does have a home run against him, 250 and 4 career at-bats. Frelick, I don't know if he'll be in the lineup since it's a lefty, but, I mean, in 5 career at-bats, he's hitting 400 against him. Jackson Chourio, 7 career at-bats, 286. A little bit of experience going up against Brandon Sproat from the Reds, but you're talking maybe a game worth just a couple of ABs here. But Brandon Sproat here, he is, when we look at his last last few starts here, go back to the game against Cleveland, where he got the starts, just went 3 2/3, and he pitched 65 pitches, 4 earned runs, 1 home run. Before that, against the Athletics, was an awesome game where he went 6 innings, 4 hits, 1 earned run. It's the consistency part with Brandon Sproat's game. The consistency. Can he just put together multiple performances where he, build upon the success and stack that success, not have one good outing and then a few bad ones and then get back to another good one and then have a few. That's the biggest thing. We know Brandon Sproat. We've seen it. We know he's got talent. He's got some skills. It's just, it's got to kind of all come together. Very similar to Mizorowski. I'm not comparing him to Jacob Mizorowski, but like Mizorowski last year, we knew the guy had skills. We knew the kid's a good pitcher, and he's got some heat. And he could throw a flipping baseball. But it was just the consistency part, putting it all together. I think that's where Brandon Sproat is at this point. We know he's got talent. We know he's got the ability. And maybe he eventually will be a better option coming out of the pen. But right now, I think the biggest thing that we need to see from Brandon Sproat is that consistency part. And it looks like right now, based off of the Brewers' schedule and how many games that they got going on here, they are going to go with a 6-man rotation, just kind of how it's lined up here. And it makes sense. Yeah, it said, so Kurt Hogg said, this was from Kurt Hogg yesterday, Pat Murphy said that the Brewers are going to resume with a 5-man rotation after the off day Thursday with 18 games in 17 days. Brandon Sproat will remain in the rotation from the sounds of it. But Dominic Cottorino also saying that appears for now the Brewers will roll with a 6-man rotation as they are 1 week into their 27-27 to close the first half. Projected rotation this week: Sproat, Shane Drowan, off day, Miz, Harrison, Robert Gasser, Woodruff. So maybe one more start for Shane Drowan and then back to the pen. If they go back to that 5-man rotation: Sproat, Miz, Harrison, Robert Gasser, Woodruff. And then when Logan Henderson's back, then I think you have the question of Robert Gasser and Brandon Sproat. But we'll get to that point when we get to that point. Mondays is a TBA, though, for what it's worth, a to be announced. Or no, that's, yeah. No, not Monday. That's, what was I thinking? Off day. They got an off day after Shane Drowan, so. All right. First pitch tonight, 6:10. Coverage begins 35 minutes prior. Let's get back to some more hoops talk, some Bucks chat. We got the draft tonight. We'll get you the latest on some of the mock drafts out there where the Bucks are potentially going to go with their picks. So now that they've got 2, at least right now, it could change, but they've got 2 in the first round. Maybe there's some more moves to be had. What do you think? Let's have some fun predictions here, okay? Do you think the Bucks are not done? Do you think there's going to be some more wheeling and dealing today? What you got? Let's have a little fun. Make some bold predictions. All right. We'll get back to some more hoops talk. Got a few texts to catch up on as well on this Toyson Ford a Grind by Gears Tuesday. We'll be right back after these quick words. Looking for the perfect summer hangout? Well, then you need to make your way on over to the VFW Post 305 in Eau Claire. Enjoy some beautiful views overlooking the river, some great food, some cold beverages, and some of the best live local music that you will find anywhere in the Chippewa Valley. Whether you are meeting some friends after work or spending a summer evening outdoors, VFW Post 305 is the place to be. Great views, great music, great times. That's the VFW Post 305. All right, before we get to some mock drafts, some updated mock drafts, since it's draft night in the NBA, and we've got 2 first-round picks now for the Bucks. We got a couple of messages to get to here. First off, Jared from Manitowoc says, at least now the Bucks can dump his waste of bench space brothers too. Surveyor Sam, good morning, DK. You know what grinds my gears? Bucks fans right now. I get it. You're mad. You're mad at the front office for not doing more to keep him. I understand if you're upset with Giannis, but let's look at it this way. We as Bucks fans had a superstar player considered the best in the world for 13 seasons. He won multiple MVPs, Defensive Player of the Year awards, consensus first team All-NBA, and to cap it all off, he brought Milwaukee and the state of Wisconsin a championship, the first in Milwaukee in 50 years. If you're mad at the front office, why? They made multiple moves to bring a championship here and to try to continue that all-in mentality because the fans were pressed and we only have Giannis for so long. They traded for Drew Holiday. They traded for P.J. Tucker. They traded for, I forgot, Serge Ibaka, Jay Crowder, and Dame Lillard. All for the opportunity to compete for another ship. But we are so short-minded that we forget these things. When you trade for stars, you have to pay. And when you're consistently drafting in the mid to back end of the first round, you're not finding any all-stars. Can we also understand that if Giannis isn't injured in 22 and 23, we are in the finals again, along with Chris Middleton. The front office did everything they could to compete, and that's all they can do. Thank you, Giannis, for everything, for the love of our state, for the heart that you showed on and off the court, for being a role model for thousands of young fans and even us parents. Thank you for 13 years of dedication and for saving the franchise from leaving Milwaukee. So I think Surveyor to Surveyor's point there. Do you fault Milwaukee's? Well, before because I want to dive into that a little bit more. I got a couple more on the video stream that I want to get to here. Let's go. I got to scroll back up here. Matt says he's a special player, but looking at it from a glass half full situation, only played more than 67 games once in the last 5 years, disappears in the playoffs, and isn't getting any younger. I think disappearing in the playoffs, though, is probably because he's hurt, right? I think that's what you're referring to. So, Zach says, I know he had missed some time in recent years, but that's what happens when superstar athletes, because they play so hard. I really think Milwaukee should have hung on to him so he could retire as a Buck. Alex says, as much as Rodgers was labeled a drama queen, I'm feeling a similar kind of gut punch this morning with Giannis leaving, as I did when Rodgers went to the Jets. What's funny, though, is I have also gotten much more interested in the Brewers as a result of the Bucks declining. Just need to be grateful for what we do have. I think that's a good point. So, Alex also saying Brewers having Miz, Harrison, and Woodruff in the rotation makes me feel much better about our postseason chances. Paul says, with acknowledging this trade is important in a huge Wisconsin sports moment, I'm glad we can all move on after a few days. It was grinding my gears that this was all everyone was talking about. So, yeah, I think, again, that goes back to what we were talking about in the first hour. A sense of relief moving on. So, okay. Going back to Surveyor's comments about the front office building and making those moves because of the championship window. Do you fault how much? I mean, so I want to pose this question out there to Bucks fans. Do you fault the front office over these last few years for where the current state is of the Milwaukee Bucks? Do you fault the front office at all? Because on one hand, because you can look at it from two different sides. You can look at it from, okay, they were aggressive in moves. They tried to make moves. They went out there and they did this. And you could say this is what we've wanted the Brewers to do. We wanted the Brewers to do this. We wanted the Brewers to, take chances, take some risks, go out there and get a Tarek Skubal. On the other hand, it's like, but they made the wrong moves. Should they have kept Drew Holiday over Dame Lillard? It's easy now, hindsight 2020, because let's just play a little what if. If they had won a championship with Dame Lillard, we're probably not talking about that, but they did it. And that's probably the point for a lot of fans that are out there. But, I easily see both sides of the aisle, both sides of where you may be at this. Like, you don't fault John Horst, you don't fault the Bucks front office for trying to be uber aggressive, knowing that they have a guy like Giannis. Knowing that, okay, we've got to try our best, we got to be ultra aggressive, we got to take some major risks in player acquisition and trying to get those players to pair up with Giannis. I think it's very similar to what a lot of people want to see the Brewers do and have wanted to see the Brewers do over the last few years. Now, can you, again, make the case that, okay, the decisions that some of the Bucks management, front office, John Horst, can you make the case that some of those decisions didn't work? 100%. But again, it is a little bit easier. It's hindsight's 2020. Because we can see the results of some of those moves that John Horst and the Bucks made We obviously don't see anything from the Brewers, so we're just kind of sitting there just wondering, and we assume that some of those risks could work out, because right now it's the Skubal trade, right? You have a lot of Brewers fans saying, trade for Skubal, you're going to the World Series. We don't know that. We don't know that. But you want to take that risk. You want to take that leap into the pool for just one championship. Well, the Bucks kind of did that. They had Giannis, so they're like, okay, let's do this. First off, they thought they had something with Eric Bledsoe running the point. Chris Middleton was there, younger version of Chris Middleton. Bledsoe was putting up some nice numbers, but then after he signed the contract, it was kind of like, okay, this isn't working. So what does he do? He ships him to New Orleans and brings in Drew Holiday. That one worked. But then injuries started to settle in as the team got older. Middleton was getting banged up. Even Giannis was getting a little bit banged up. So what did everybody say? What did every Bucks fan say after? Gosh, Giannis needs a Robin. Giannis needs another scorer. Giannis needs another guy who can create. Middleton isn't that guy anymore. So they brought in a guy that can score, that can create. It's Dame Lillard. But you had to give up Drew Holiday. Which, Drew Holiday is one of my favorite players of all time. And I think a lot of Bucks fans did not want to see Drew Holiday go. But it's easy for us at times to play general manager and Madden and front office creator and say, well, I would just trade Middleton for him instead of Drew Holiday. If you're Portland, are you doing that, though? Because Portland then shipped Drew Holiday off to Boston. Who's going to get you a bigger return, Drew Holiday or Chris Middleton? Who's going to be Drew Holiday? So while it was kind of sad to see Drew Holiday go, it was sad, I shouldn't say kind of. I got why they brought in Dame. To get that creator, to get another score. It didn't work. Injuries. I still feel like if Dame did not tear his Achilles, that maybe it's still Giannis and Dame on this Bucks team. There's definitely no Miles Turner. There has definitely been a lot of moves that hasn't worked out. But try to view it from a non-hindsight 2020. Do you fault John Horst in the front office for trying to be aggressive, for taking risks? And I think, Surveyor, I think that's kind of what you're coming at, or what you're throwing out there. At least they were doing something. They were trying to do something. They were trying to be aggressive. They were trying to, win more than just one. And I think that's where a lot of Brewers fans are coming at right now. It's like, can you go make some moves? Can you send some prospects so we can just get one championship? Okay, let's say if the Brewers trade for Tarek Skubal and he gets hurt before the postseason and you don't have him and then he's gone after this year. Are we upset at Matt Arnold? Or they trade for Skubal and they don't get out of the first round of the playoffs? Are we upset at Matt Arnold in the front office? Or do we give it a pass because, hey, at least he tried? Like, where are you on that? On that side? Because we can go back and forth on this all day. I guess for me personally, and I know this might not be the most popular opinion, but I don't fault John Horst so much because he was aggressive in a lot of his moves. Were some of the moves like, really? Yeah, sure. 100%. And is it easier to look back at it and say, well, that didn't work? You betcha. But I think if we're going to have that same type of energy where we want the Brewers to go out there and get another bat or get another pitcher and do this and do that, the Bucks kind of did that. They tried. And when you do try and you give up a lot of assets and you throw out a lot of money and it doesn't work out, it's going to hinder you. They took some major risks and it resulted in one championship. If they had gotten one more, three more, two more, whatever, maybe then it's looked at as this era is a little bit in a better light. But I can point to some trades and moves and say that didn't work, but I don't know if I can be overly critical, like you guys were too aggressive, you took too many risks. In a market like Milwaukee, too, I think you have to be at times. Yeah, you have to be smart. You have to be diligent in some of those moves. But I think ultimately at a certain point, you might have to be a little bit of a risk taker if the ultimate goal is to win a championship. That's just my opinion on that. All right, we got to take a quick break. Back with plenty more coming up after these few words. Don't forget to check out Hy-Vee on Facebook for their latest flyer for this week's deals and savings. We're talking about $3.99 Tombstone pizzas, DiGiorno Classic, Jack's Rising Crust, or cheesy pizza dippers. We've got a freezer in the garage that's just for Hudson's frozen pizzas all the time, so we'll definitely be taking advantage of that. $5.99 six-pack of Bubbler sparkling water. And, I mean, if you want to cool down with some warmer weather, you got $5.99 Blue Ribbon Classics frozen dessert gallon or novelties on sale. Cottage cheese is big in our house, too. That's on sale for $3.28. Even our dogs, we got to put a little bit in our dog dish for the dogs to eat too. So 3 for $5. Hy-Vee Midwest pork boneless, pork loin, butterfly, or America's Cut chops. That's all on sale. $2.49 with the purchase of 3 for Doritos. Heck yeah! So 39-cent Hy-Vee yogurt, 6-ounce cups. Easy snack during the day too. So as always, again, go to the Hy-Vee in Eau Claire's Facebook page and check out the latest and greatest savings, and then you can also double dip with fuel perks, so with their fuel savers. So you can earn some money from that and save at the gas pump, courtesy of our good friends from Hy-Vee in Eau Claire. Rando from Chippewa says, I don't really fault the front office. When you have a player like the Greek Freak, you need to go after players to play with him. Those players cost money and draft picks and will most likely be hard to deal with later on. But if you want them to compete with that type of player, you have to deal with what comes with, and now all those risks work out. John says, I don't know who said that Giannis doesn't show up in the postseason, but I would like to see some numbers that back up that ridiculous statement. Apparently the person forgot about the Bucks Giannis leading the Bucks to the championship and all those other amazing games he's had in the postseason. At what point did he not show up besides being injured and literally could not go out there? Another texter here says, I can't fault the Bucks front office too much. Yeah, there were some questionable moves. I was not in favor of the Drew Holiday, Damian Lillard trade, but I got it because we were all begging the Bucks to get another scorer for Giannis. They did exactly that with Dame Lillard. They traded a team favorite in Drew Holiday, but people are so Monday morning armchair quarterbacking that they hindsight 2020 every single move and point to that move. What does that say? Point to a certain move to prove their point, I think is what it's supposed to say. Okay. Another text coming in here from Ben. Ben says, I've had my issues with John Horst, specifically when it comes to drafting. I think he has a major fault in that area, but I can't fault him for being aggressive with some trades. Milwaukee is not a destination for a lot of NBA free agents. They had Giannis, so they had to be aggressive with a lot of trades. I wish people would just understand this instead of just expecting everything to fall in their lap. We've got another texter. Who is this person that said he can't compete in the postseason? Let's see some numbers to back up that ridiculous statement. Okay. Moving on here, we got another text that says, Giannis, Giannis is the greatest, and I will always be appreciative of his time with the Bucks. This is from Matt, by the way. Always be appreciative of his time with the Bucks. I get everybody's going through the stages of grief right now, but we also have to look back at it. It was a fun era of Bucks basketball. It will probably be down for the next few years, but hopefully they can turn it around. I'm going to be glass half full with this approach. Another texter says, I did not like the Damian Lillard and Drew Holiday trade. I was a big Drew Holiday fan, his defense, and just the way he led his team. However, I can't fault the Bucks for trading him for Damian Lillard because, if you remember, it also led to Giannis signing an extension. Unfortunately, this is how the NBA works. You have to make your star players happy, especially in bigger markets. That move directly affected Giannis in signing an extension to stay with the Bucks. We're going to look at it a bunch of different ways, right? Yeah. And you're right. He did sign an extension after the Dame trade. And I think that's one of my bugaboos when it comes to the NBA is it is so superstar heavy at times that teams do get caught up in trying to make their best player the happiest that they can be. Case in point, Giannis making those trades, having his brother on the roster, having both of his brothers on the roster. Bucks aren't the only team that does that, and they won't be the only team to have done that. Lakers do it with LeBron and drafting Bronny. I mean, we've seen it all across the league. I mean, remember, too, the Knicks, Jalen Brunson, his dad's an assistant coach. We see this more, I think, in the game of basketball in the NBA than maybe any other league right now. It is a players-driven league. And players have a lot of control and a lot of say. Really quick, Jeff says Giannis is 11th in all-time averaging in points per game in the postseason. Why are we saying he doesn't show up in the postseason? I'd have to look up to see if that's true. I don't know off the top of my head, but okay. All right, continue to send us. I didn't know we were going to get down that path, but here we are. All right. Let's take a quick break, and we'll wrap up this second hour. We're going to switch gears here coming up in the next hour. Yesterday was also a big day in the basketball world with Dusty May leaving Michigan, leaving the Big Ten. He's going to go to the NBA. We'll talk a little bit about that and the trickle-down effect it may have in the Big Ten with Mr. R.J. Cardinal coming up at about 8:20 this morning. So, all right, we'll take a quick break and be back after these few words. Summer road trips create some great memories, but sometimes accidents do happen. If a fender bender puts a dent in your plans, you could trust Superior Auto Body in Eau Claire to get your vehicle looking like new again. Their experienced team provides quality collision repair and attention to detail that helps restore your vehicle and your peace of mind. When life bumps into your vehicle, you can count on Superior Auto Body in Eau Claire, our official Backyard Dreams partners. Again, we'll get to some more Brewers talk coming up in the next hour as we get set for Game 2 tonight. Brandon Woodruff looked awesome last night in his first appearance since April. So we got the NBA draft tonight. Obviously, the big story in the sports world is the Greek freak Giannis getting traded to the Miami Heat. The Bucks, as of right now, they will host right now. We'll have two picks in the top 13, number 10 and number 13. Number 10 and number 13. So kind of take a look at some of the latest mock drafts that are out there pegging where maybe the Bucks are going to go here. I think a lot, too. Are they going to flip Tyler Hero? I think that's the other part. If they flip him, and then maybe it changes the need of another guard, another shooter. If they do keep him, and Chris Haynes is saying that Tyler Hero is definitely open and excited to play with his hometown team. It's just, would they sign him to extension? Would he stay with an extension? So you're still seeing a lot of the same names here. ESPN updated their mock draft with the Bucks now at number 13. So at number 10, they've got Braden Burris, the guard from Arizona, and then Kareem Lopez, the forward from the New Zealand Breakers. Now, international player, so we may not know a whole lot about him, but this is their write-up. It says, teams picking in this range of the draft have been operating in anticipation of the Bucks eventually acquiring this pick from the Heat, a move that finally took place Monday night. Whom the Bucks take at number 10, as well as how they value their incoming younger prospects from Miami, will have an impact on what they do at this point. Lopez is one of the players Milwaukee has shown strong interest in and should be an option at this pick, particularly if the Bucks draft a guard at number 10. His mix of physical tools, versatility, and intangibles make him a moldable, long-term prospect. If he doesn't come off the board by this slot, teams think he could wind up slipping into the teens. Cameron Carr is another name to watch for Milwaukee if this spot is a wing. Cameron Carr is from Baylor. He guard, forward type of combo. So, yeah, I'll be honest. The NBA draft, outside of maybe the first couple picks, the first few picks, it's kind of a crapshoot after that. It's all across the board. NFL draft is maybe a little bit easier. I shouldn't say a little bit. I think it's quite a bit easier to kind of predict and project and mock draft. After the first few, when it comes to the NBA, I think it's just, it goes all over the place, especially with the amount of trades that you potentially have in the NBA draft too. So this, I think the last time that maybe we were really into, or at least maybe I was really into a Bucks draft, might have been the Jabari Parker one. Was it going to be Parker or Wiggins? And we were all like, okay, whether it was Wiggins or Parker. We would have been happy with either one of them. What was the other draft? It was the Kaminsky and Decker one that we were kind of keeping an eye on. I think that was even, if memory serves me correct, was that also the Bobby Portis draft? Because I believe a lot of people pegged Bobby Portis going to the Bucks. Yeah, it was a 2015 draft. Okay, Karl Anthony Towns. Who did the Bucks end up getting that year? They got, that was the Rashad Vaughn draft from UNLV. That's right. Sam Decker went with the pick after. Grant was after, Jaren Grant too. Yeah. And then Bobby Portis was selected by Chicago, number 22 overall. Okay. But all right, shot clock's going to cut me off here in just a couple minutes, so let's reset as we approach halftime. Oh, yeah, J.P. Takoto was in the second round. Wisconsin kid. Played in North Carolina, but from Wisconsin. Anyways, continue to send us your Grind My Gears, brought to you by Toyson Ford. It is also I'm not saying, but I'm just saying. I'm not saying blank, but I'm just saying blank. Best ones, we'll read up on the air. Okay, send those on over for they're appropriate. Make them appropriate. Okay, so continue to get to that. We'll talk with RJ Cardinal coming up in about 20 minutes or so. We'll talk a little Badgers, but we're going to talk about the change, a major change in the landscape of the Big Ten. College basketball with Dusty May. That was a huge story yesterday, but then, of course, Giannis getting traded last night is the big story tonight. But, I mean, you've got maybe a little bit of change of the guard in the Big Ten basketball. And we'll see now with the transfer portal maybe how many Michigan players leave Michigan and go elsewhere. So we'll hit that up. And, of course, we'll chat a little bit more Brewers and plenty more Bucks chat coming your way with the news of Giannis being traded to the Miami Heat. Do you want the Bucks to trade Tyler Hero too? Do you want them to move on from him and maybe get some more draft capital? Maybe flip him? Kyle Kuzma's still there. Miles Turner's still there. Honestly, it's probably going to be a couple of years. Just they still got to pay off Dame Lillard's contract, I think, until 2030. Somewhere around there. Yeah, 2030. But, yeah. I think it's, again, kind of what we were saying in the first hour. I think it's okay to have a wide range of emotions. There's relief that we don't have to talk about this anymore. We don't have to speculate about this anymore. We don't have to wonder anymore if it's going to happen or not. There's a sense of relief. You can take a deep breath, like, finally. There's sadness to it because we're not going to see Giannis in a Bucks uniform anymore, unless it's a return at the end of his career. There's anger because you didn't want to see it happen, or there's anger because you're not happy with the package, or maybe there's a little happiness because you're thinking about the good memories, or you're like, hey, I think they actually got a really good return. Everybody's got different waves of emotion, and it's fine. There's no right way or wrong way to feel about this whole thing. But for me, yeah, I'm down. I'm a little down because I'm not going to see the Greek Freak playing at the Pfizer Forum wearing Bucks colors. I'm not going to see that. I can guarantee you, though, when Miami does come to play Milwaukee, I think Giannis is going to be incredibly emotional. We've got plenty of time to talk about that, but that might be, I think, kind of game plan. That will be probably a widely broadcasted game, if you catch my drift. So, all right, shot clock's going to cut me off. So we are approaching halftime. We'll kick off the third hour. We'll start it off talking a little bit more Brewers as we get set for game 2 of this series with the Reds, and then we'll get to RJ Cardinal. Quick break, quick news updates, and we'll be back in just a couple minutes.